Um, do you have hope for where we're going, or are we too far into this cultural revolution thing to turn it around?
Uh, no, we can turn this around. So this doesn't look much, honestly, this looks very similar to how the 60s looked.
Hmm.
Now I was not a teenager, I was just a small kid in the 60s, but I have enough memory and enough information to remember the riots on the campuses and the protests and Kent State and all these things that were happening during the 60s. What we have right now is all those college people from the 60s are now in Congress. Now they're the people in charge. So the Hillary Clintons and the Pelosi's and the Schumers and the Bernie Sanders, they were the radicals of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Their era is fading.
Yeah.
Their time is going out. I mean, when you look at, my God, you look at the House and Senate right now, it's a for the most part, it should be a nursing home over there.
It really should be. They're all so old.
As younger people start to move in, you're going to see that it's not going to be the 60s radicals anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're starting to see people from this, what I'll call the 70s and 80s. So now you start to get a Mike Lee, you start to get a Ted Cruz or a Rand Paul with
Mm-hmm.
different thinking. So I think we're going to see uh, better thinking start to move into there. Now, we still have this young generation like the AOCs that are a problem. But even when you look at them, they're in pockets of Democratic controlled districts. They
Right.
don't represent America.
Right.
One of the things I was saying to somebody earlier was if you look at a red and blue map of America, there are no blue states.
Mm-hmm.
There are only blue cities. There's no such thing as a blue state.
Right. Hmm.
You have blue cities. Even if you look at California, there's actually more red on their map than blue.
It is, I mean, one of the best walkaway rallies we did of the entire 2020 election season, and we toured all over the country with walkaway, was in Beverly Hills. And after we had a monster rally in Beverly Hills, and then they just kept having rallies every single week for Trump, and it was one of the most inspiring experiences of the whole 2020 election cycle for me.
So conservatives, real Americans still control this country. There are two types of Americans. There are
Mm-hmm.
geographical Americans and there are philosophical Americans. To be a philosophical American, you don't need to be born here. You don't even need to live here. You could be living in a communist country right now, but mentally you're an American because you believe in hard work and you believe in risk and you believe in reward and you believe in freedom. Then there are geographical Americans. Those are people who have USA on their passport because they were born here, but they really don't share the American dream. They really don't share American ideals. They really subscribe to a Marxist or a European mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real battle that we're having right now. We all think it's black and white and Democrat and Republican and vaxxers and non-vaxxers, but the real battle is between philosophical America and geographical America. And we saw the proof of that in the Olympics
Mm-hmm.
because we had geographical Americans that were representing the country and they were not philosophically American. Not all of them. Some of them were wonderful.
Yeah.
But we saw the example of somebody, well, I'm an American because this is what's on my passport, but I don't represent America.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the battle is going to lie.
I think one of the things, just to kind of close this out, that, I was so grateful for Trump for, because I was not a Trump fan at the beginning. When I
I
left the
was not either.
Well, and when I left the Democratic Party, I said the only way I would vote for Trump would be a vote out of spite because I'm not voting for the Democrats. And then he slowly started to, just I warmed up to him. And by the time he left, I was so thankful for the fact that he made me feel proud to be an American again. He made it feel good to be an American again. And that was someone, I went to school in Boston. And the reason I went to school in Boston was because I loved US history. I loved the Revolutionary War era. I used to study the founding fathers all the time. And then at some point in my life, I lost that love. And I felt like Trump brought it back again. And so for, he has many faults, he does, but I will always be grateful to him for that.
If I can comment really quick, I want to
Sure.
talk about the psychology of Trump.
Yeah, let's do it.
When we look at somebody like Obama would be a person that would be considered mentally stable. He would be mentally healthy, as the DSM-5 would describe him.
Mm-hmm.
And if we looked at Trump through the DSM-5, we'd probably see a few personality flaws.
A narcissist, if you might.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First off, there was a great forensic psychiatrist. You might enjoy this book. It's called, I believe the book is a special kind of madness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a forensic psychiatrist. And what he did is he went back and he did forensic studies on the psychiatry and psychology of leaders. And what he found was those leaders who would be considered to be psychologically healthy and normal failed. The leaders that succeeded were the leaders who actually would not have been qualified under the terms of a DSM-5 of being mentally healthy. An example would be Neville Chamberlain. Neville Chamberlain was the perfect politician. He was normal. He was mentally healthy. And he decided, peace in our time, he's going to go negotiate with Hitler and he's going to make a negotiation. Meanwhile, you had Winston Churchill, an alcoholic with a manic depressive disorder, who's screaming from the rooftops, you can't make peace with a lunatic. The only thing you do with a lunatic is be a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
Who was right? When times are tough, the mentally normal person isn't the winner. The winner is the person who is a quarter bubble off level and who does see the world a little different. And that's where Trump was. The last thing I want to say on Trump is simply this. Obama is an ideologue. He came to the presidency with a very set ideology of what he wanted to do. Trump did not come to the White House with any ideology. President Trump is an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I am an entrepreneur. We are very unusual people because what we do is we look for problems. That's what an entrepreneur does. They look for problems. We consider problems to be opportunity. They're not problems, they're opportunities. Now we look for the best solution. We look for the best people. We find the best solution to it. We implement the solution. We move on. Donald Trump came to the White House with his entrepreneurial mind, not with an ideology. When he got there, using entrepreneurial thinking, which is, what are my options? What is the best solution? Who can carry this out fast? What he proved was that following that basic thinking of economic thinking, conservatism ended up being the right answer. Mm-hmm. He didn't come in saying, I'm a conservative and I'm going to make everything conservative. He came in saying, I'm a problem solver. I fix things. What's the best way to fix it? And every time he fixed it, the answer happened to be conservative because it was the right answer. Mm-hmm. And what that ended up resulting in, it ended up making him the most conservative president since Ronald Reagan. And potentially, I would say that he was probably even a little more conservative than Ronald Reagan. But Ronald Reagan was an ideologue. Ronald Reagan came in with a philosophy. Trump came in with a methodology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, if he had had 4 more years.
Well, people who I know that are close to him are telling me he is going to go for another 4 years.
That's what I keep hearing, is that he's saying he's going to go for another 4 years. I have mixed feelings about this, to be honest. I have mixed feelings. I don't get me wrong. I would love every second of the entertainment value that this would cause us. We would not run out of things to talk about, Mark. But
nope.
I just don't know if it's a good idea. And also, I'm seeing what DeSantis is doing in Florida, and I really like DeSantis quite a bit, actually. I don't know. I'm 50. I'm kind of in the place right now where I'm like, I'm just going to sit back and watch what happens and say what I think about it. But it's going to be entertaining no matter what.
The ideal situation would be if we could have a Trump DeSantis presidency.
Yeah.
Where we'd have 4 more years of Donald Trump and 8 years of Ron DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
From an electability standpoint, if we had a Ron DeSantis at the top of the ticket with a very, very active Donald Trump campaigning and supporting for him,
Mm-hmm.
we would probably have a ticket that would be more palatable to some Americans. And I'll tell you the ticket I would love to see. I would like to see Ron DeSantis with Kristi Noem.
Really? I don't like Kristi Noem. I think she's a rhino.
I think she's electable. I mean, she's done some pretty good stuff there. She's done some pretty good conservative things.
Well, to be fair, like the vice presidency is like what did
It's a beauty
someone go,
contest.
like it's like your superfluous excellency, right? Ben Franklin that said that. That's who I'm
Yep.
thinking of. Yep.
But it is a beauty contest. I mean, how do you think, how in the world do you think Kamala Harris got the vice presidency? She couldn't even get 2% of the vote
No.
in a primary.
Nope.
So why in the world they elect her? Because she checked boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Kristi Noem checks a female box, you know, that the Republicans could certainly use to put on a ticket.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what's going to happen. And I'm excited about, the next couple of years. They should be showing up in New Hampshire in about 6 months. All the Republicans are going to be running around.
It's not going to be, Ron DeSantis is clearly the number 2 right now.
Yeah, I think so.
But if Donald Trump decides to run,
Mm-hmm.
the nomination will be his. No one is going to be able to take the nomination from him.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen anyone, in my entire life, I've never seen a politician who has the following that is as absolute run through fire loyal
Mm-hmm.
that Trump has. I mean, you've never seen people out campaigning on street corners and boat brigades of people and flags hanging off the back of their cars for their presidential candidate. This guy brings out the best and the worst in people.
Yes, he does.
He is the most polarizing individual that I've ever seen. And last thing I'll tell you is, and a friend of mine gave me this, Donald Trump has already stated that he's running for office.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he stated he was running for office was when he filed the class action suit against all of the social media people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes too, because the walkaway campaign's actually involved in that, because when Facebook banned the walkaway group just unilaterally after January 6th, they also banned all of the admin's personal accounts. And so we'll see. I was glad, but you know what? We'll see what's going to happen for 2024. Justin says after Pence dropped the ball, you don't need another Rhino VP. I don't know. I can go either way on that. But Mark, I would love to have you back as we get closer to the election. You're willing to come back on the channel sometime?
Oh, anytime. Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure.